Over the last 3 years, the New York organ donor location system has done a complete 180 with a near 70% increase in donations.
This is in thanks in large part to the efforts of local nonprofit LiveOnNY. Their CEO and president, Lenny Achan, is here back on Good Day New York this morning. Lenny, nice to have you back.
Great to be here, and thanks.
The last time we saw you, about 3 years ago, we had lost an officer.
Yes.
And remind me what happened.
Sure. Officer Mora and Rivera were tragically killed here in New York in the beginning of 2022. And, you know, we spoke about the 5 lives that he saved, 3 times a hero. He set off an interesting movement in New York around donation, as did you, in having us on in your advocacy here, which now 3 years later has led to New Yorkers stepping up. And we see a 70% increase in organ donation, which translates to 4,000 plus lives who are no longer on the wait list around the nation.
That's amazing,
coming
Lenny.
From New Yorkers.
I think a lot has changed. I think, you know, when we first learned about organ donation, and I was one of those people who didn't realize that you're not going to kill me to get my organs, right?
Right. You and me both. I'm a nurse and a healthcare executive, and 25 years, and, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, I might have even believed half of those things, being in healthcare. And look, New Yorkers were suspect. We're curious. The gap had to be filled in. The sentence had to be filled in to say that's not true. No. And New Yorkers stepped up and heard it loud and clear.
I think education, I'm assuming, has been a large part of this, is educating people that things like that are a myth. Some of the others are that, okay, it's against my religion.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot. So the top ones are it's against my religion. Mm-hmm. We found that not to be true. You know, my age, right? My age is an issue. Well, the oldest organ donor, 96. Oldest New Yorker, 93.
So wait, your organs don't get older?
Your organs get older, but they're very resilient. And, you know, a lot of these things have been debunked over the last, 50 years.
People with money or status are higher on the list?
Yeah, so, in fact, you know, when we first started this voyage and we met with you here, it was said that, you know, blacks don't donate in New York. There was, we've capped out. There are no organ donors in New York. Nobody wants the organs. They're damaged, or people are sick, so sick in New York. Well, we didn't believe that, and those were, you know, academics. Those were leaders, thought leaders. The reality is today, we're #1 in the nation in honoring black organ donors. The community stepped up. Over 60% of the donors are black, Hispanic, Asian, and the recipients around the nation are. So we've debunked a lot of these things, and we lead the nation today in rescuing kidneys that may otherwise be looked at as damaged, and placing those kidneys. So all of those things have come together by the grace of our community, thanks to media and advocacy, education, working with everyone from high schools to colleges to nursing schools. And you know, what we realized was New York didn't invest over the last 50 years in debunking these myths and urban legends, and we needed to get out there and do that.
You know, you talk about education. I think a lot of people think about organ donation after they pass away, but you can be a living donor and help a lot of people.
Absolutely.
I think people know about kidneys. I honestly just found out this year, we had a guest on, that you can be a liver donor while you're alive.
Absolutely. So there's 2 paths, living donation and that unbelievable altruism, you know, especially with kidneys. And, you know, of the 100,000 people today, 8,000 New Yorkers, 100,000 nation, 8,000 New Yorkers, 80% of them are in dialysis and or waiting for kidneys. Right? And a living donor can change that person's life. Deceased donors, those who said yes, whether through registering to be a donor or their family stepping up, which in our case, 85% of those authorizations are from family members who say, I know what my loved one would have wanted.
Ryan Christopher's sister-in-law, right?
That's where I found out about that you could donate a liver while you're still alive.
Yeah, liver, kidneys.
And Marianne Browning, she donated her kidney to somebody she works with.
Beautiful people.
Isn't that great? I mean, and she was back working out like 2 weeks later. I'm like, what? You just gave an organ.
And look, we know, we're New Yorkers. New Yorkers step up in crisis.
So what do we need to do, Lenny?
You know, just don't believe the urban myths and legends, but challenge them and look it up yourself and learn about it, because, again, we're suspect people, right?
Where can people look it up with you?
Live on New York, LiveOnNY, New York. You know, .com.org. We have many different places. But if you want to be an organ donor, tell your family. Make sure they know what you represent. and or sign up on the registry. We advocate for that. Most importantly, we just want to give people the opportunity to say yes or no. It's a human rights issue. We respect that. But everybody should be asked and be able to answer the question. That's what wasn't happening for so long. New Yorkers stepped up and made it happen. Thousands of lives have been saved, thousands honored, and a 70% increase since I last sat with you here many years ago. So
and
thank
I know
you.
you don't want to take credit for it, but that 70% increase happened right after you took over. So you deserve a lot of credit.
It also
Go,
happened
Lenny.
right after we sat here with you, so you guys... No,
Thank you.
it is only because of our families, donors, and the New Yorkers who always step up in times of tragedy. New York was one of the worst performers in the nation. We were just notified by Centers for Medicare and Medicaid that we are now a leading top performer in the nation in 3 years. So thank you to New York, and thank you to you, and thank you for those who trust and believe.
One person can make such a difference in so many lives.
Absolutely.
Live on New York. Thank you so much, Lenny.
Thank
Appreciate
you very
it.
much.
All right, our